Hello everyone. So let's study properties of definite integrals today. Yeah. So we have studied basics of definite integral, right? And also we have studied how to evaluate definite integrals by using various methods, specifically method of substitution. Okay. So now let's study properties of definite integrals. And after studying properties of definite integrals, it will be very easy for you to evaluate definite integrals, because there are many questions which will be very easy if you know properties of definite integrals. Okay, so let's begin our class today. So to start with properties of definite integrals, first property is definite integral is independent of variable of integration. So what does it mean? So whenever we say definite integral is independent of variable of integration, it means, so basically, for example, if I write here a to b fx dx, here variable of integration is x. This is equal to, it is a to b ft dt. Here variable of integration is t. So whether you take x or t, so as per this property, I mean there is no change. It is independent of variable of integration. So let me show you through an example. For example, if I write here 0 to pi by 2, let me take a simple integrand here, this. So it is cos x, as we know, integral is sin x. Okay, limit of integration 0 to pi by 2. So we are getting sin pi by 2 minus sin 0. Sin pi by 2 1, sin 0 0, we are getting 1. So let me change variable of integration. So 0 to pi by 2 cos t dt. Here also we are getting sin t from 0 to pi by 2. So now again we will take sin pi by 2 minus sin 0. That is equal to 1 minus 0 equal to 1. So here basically, as long as limits of integration, both lower and upper limit, there is no change. I mean here 0 to pi by 2, here also I have taken 0 to pi by 2. It means a to b, here also a to b. Okay, now and here fx, here you have ft. So it means only the change in variables. So as long as the function remains same and limits of integration, these are same, so there is no problem if we change the variables. It is also because of the fact that in the end the result is independent of the variable. Okay, in case of definite integral, the result, we get a definite value which is independent of the variable. Okay, it is basically a constant, right? So this property is clear. Now coming to second property, if we interchange the lower and upper limits of the integration, the lower and upper limits of integration, then sign of the integral is changed. So what does it mean? So if I write here a to b fx dx, okay, so this is, and if I write here b to a, I am interchanging upper and lower limits of integration. Fx dx, sign of the integral is changed. So I'll take again a simple example here. If I write here, maybe I can write here 0 to pi by 2. again the same example as above, cos x dx. So we are getting here 0 to pi by 2 cos x dx. We have got sin x 0 to pi by 2. Okay, that is equal to sin pi by 2 minus sin 0, which is 1, right? Now let me interchange the limits. So upper limit becomes lower limit becomes upper limit, and it is cos x dx. So we are writing here sin x, it is pi by 2 to 0. So sin x at upper limit 0 minus sin pi by 2, 0 minus 1 is minus 1. So here you can see 1 and minus 1. So it basically, why this happens, because if we have fx dx, suppose for example gx, okay, plus c. Now when I take a to b fx dx, so we get what? gb minus ga. Okay, value of the integral at upper limit minus value at lower limit. But if I interchange, I mean I take here b to a, so this will become what? ga minus gb. Okay, so because of this, the sign of the integral is changed. Okay, so next, property number 3. So property number 3 is basically, yeah, so a to b fx dx, it is equal to a to c fx dx plus c to b fx dx. So it means, what is c here? C belongs to open interval AB. Okay, this is property number 3. Yeah, so I have to just take C here. So property number 3 is in fact very important from some points, like first, where should we use it? Okay, so this property is useful when the function is in piecewise definition. Okay, this property, third property specifically, it is useful. So number 1, so this property is useful. First one is when the function is, when fx is in piecewise definition. Piecewise, I'll tell you what is piecewise. In piecewise definition. Piecewise definition means just like, whenever you take mod x, bracket x, for example, whenever we write mod x, for example, so this is x if x greater than equal to 0, minus x if x less than 0. So it means, so one part like this, the other part is like this. Similarly, whenever you define bracket x, I mean greatest integer function x, so there also we define like this. Okay, so that is one case. Second case also you can consider. Second case is, so it is not only piecewise definition. Second case, when fx is, when we use this function, when fx is discontinuous at x equal to c, or it is not defined. Okay, so you can say, well, it is not defined at x equal to c. So I will take example. Okay, so discontinuous, or no, you can say non-differentiable, or discontinuous at x equal to c, or fx is non-differentiable. non-differentiable at x equal to c. So these are the two cases we can apply property number 3. Okay, so this case directly we can use now when fx is piecewise when fx is in piecewise definition, and second case is when fx is discontinuous at x equal to c, or fx is non-differentiable at x equal to c. And what is c here? C belongs to open interval AB. Okay, so this is the basically what we do here. We split the interval AB into two subintervals, A to C, C to B. So for example, when you consider this one, like suppose integral of mod x minus 1 dx. Okay, just let me just check it. I'm not getting full screen. Okay. So anyway, so we have integral of this mod x minus 1. This is the question actually. Mod x minus 1 and here 0 to 2, for example, dx. Okay. Now if I write here, yeah, so to define x minus 1, no? So as we know, x minus 1 mod x minus 1 is just 1 moment. Yeah, so here you see mod x minus 1 equal to x minus 1 if x minus 1 greater than equal to 0, or you can say x greater than equal to 1, and minus of x minus 1 if x minus 1 less than 0, means x less than 1. So it means at x equal to 1 the change happens, the turning point you can say. So what we can do here, we can split the interval 0 to 2 into two subintervals. One is 0 to 1. When it is 0 to 1, x is less than 1. So x less than 1 means mod x minus 1 will be, let me write one more line. We write like this, okay, plus 1 to 2 mod x minus 1 dx. Okay, this is the question. I mean, we have splitted the interval 0 to 2 into two subintervals like this. So here you can have 0 to 1 mod x minus 1. It is greater than equal to 0, less than 1. So when x less than 1, mod x minus 1 equal to minus of x minus 1, means 1 minus x, plus here it is 1 to 2, means x greater than equal to 1. So it is x minus 1. So now we have removed mod sign. Okay, so just thing. Okay, so here what we can do, two lines we need. Anyway, so we can take it. Okay, so now continuing this, so 1 dx x minus x square by 2. Okay, 0 to 1 plus x square by 2 minus x. It is 1 to 2, right? Now we can have upper limit 1 minus lower limit 0 minus 1 by 2 of x square at upper limit 1 minus at lower limit 0 plus 1 by 2 x square at upper limit 2, it is 4 minus at lower limit, okay, minus x upper limit 2 lower limit this. So you are getting what? 1 minus 0 1. Okay, it means 1 minus half. Here it is half of, I mean it is your 3 by 2, right? Plus 3 by 2 minus 1. So 3 by 2 minus 1 by 2, that's 2 by 2. You are getting 1 here, right? Okay, so you are getting integral as 1. So now second question is, so before we go to property number 4, the second question is 0 to 2. It is mod x square plus 3x minus 4. So in this question you have quadratic. Okay, so in quadratic form, first of all what you need to do, you have to see when it is how to split the interval 0 to 2 into 2 subintervals, right? So whenever you take x square, yeah, so first of all you see x square plus 3x minus 4. So if you factorize this, 4x minus x, right? So it means you will be getting here x plus 4 into x minus 1. So it is basically splitting this into quadratic polynomial. So to get quadratic polynomial, so when it is 0, x square plus 3x minus 4 equal to 0. When x equal to minus 4, x equal to 1. So here you have minus 4, you have 1 here, okay, plus minus plus, you can use this simple trick. So it means, yeah, so this will be positive when it is greater than, beyond 1 basically. It is equal to 0 when it is equal to 1, right? And when it is minus equal to minus 4, this is this. Otherwise, when it is positive and negative, you see. So what we can do here, yeah, we can split this interval into the subinterval 0 to 1. It is minus 4. Somewhere you have 0 here, right? You can have 0 to 1. Yeah, so because otherwise we have 0 to 2, right? So 0 to 2 means 0 is somewhere here, then 1, then 2. So we can take 0 to 1, 1 to 2, right? So this side maybe I can write here 2. Let me just change the color. Okay, this is, okay, done. This is 2, okay, this is 1. Here you have 0. So even if we are getting here minus 4, we don't need it. Now to split the subinterval, what you have to do, 0 to 1, okay, x square plus 3x minus 4 plus 1 to 2, x square plus 3x minus 4. And you know dx will come by default. So whenever it is 0 to 1, 0 to 1, so you see the interval, whenever you take quadratic polynomial, no? So see, it has just like finding critical points, just like that. Okay, just for, I mean, for the sake of comparison, I'm telling you. So this quadratic polynomial will be 0 when x equal to minus 4 and when x equal to 1. Right? So we have taken -4 and 1 here. It means the number line, dividing the number line into three parts. One is greater than 1, okay, between -4 and 1, then less than -4. But our interval is given 0 to 2. So it means we will consider 0 onwards. So 0 to 1 means it is less than 1, right? 0 to 1, then 1 to 2. So that is the reason we are splitting the interval into two subintervals like this. One subinterval is 0 to 1, the other one is 1 to 2. So whenever it is greater than 1, right side of 1, it is positive. So when it is positive, you can take x square plus 3x minus 4, as it is. When it is negative, so you can take minus of this. Okay, so in that way it is easy. So 0 to 1 means it is less than 1. That means you can get minus of integral of this. Minus of, you can write here 0 to 1 x square plus 3x minus 4. Okay, dx. Plus whenever it is 1 to 2 means it is greater than 1. So if greater than equal to 1, so you will write here x square plus 3x minus 4. Okay, so after removal of mod sign, you can find the integral. So it means you are having minus of this is your x cube by 3 plus 3x square by 2 minus 4x. Okay, 0 to 1 plus the other part is x cube by 3 plus 3x square by 2 minus 4x. Here it is 1 to 2. Okay, now you can write the final answer here. That means you are getting here minus of upper limit minus lower limit. So it means upper limit, 1 by 3 of, I take here 1 by 1. So x cube upper limit minus lower limit 1 minus 0. Okay, plus 3 by 2 x square upper limit 1 lower limit 0. So 1 minus 0 again, minus 4 into again 1 minus 0. Okay, now plus second term is 1 by 3. It is 1 to 2. So 8 minus 1, right? Plus 3 by 2, 4 minus 1. Minus 4 into 2 minus 1. So you are getting finally minus 1 by 3 minus 3 by 2 minus of minus 4 plus 4 plus 7 by 3. Then here it is 3 by 2 plus 9 by 2. Then here it is 2 minus 1, 1. So minus 4. Okay, so you are getting so is it clear? 2 by 1. So you are getting here 5 by 3. You can calculate here. Sorry, you can get here minus 1 by 3. Here it is 6 by 3. So it means 2. Then here it is 3. Okay, 5 minus 4 plus 4 cancelled. So you are getting 5 here. Okay, your answer is 5. Okay, so basically you can see the split function. So one more example, maybe I will show you a little bit later. Okay, the discontinuous case. Okay, fourth property, this is very, very important, you can say. So let me use a very good color for this. So 0 to a fx dx equal to 0 to a f a minus f dx. So here one condition you can see, f is a continuous function. F is a continuous function in closed interval 0a. This is the condition you have to put here. Okay. Now let's prove this. Sometimes the proof of this property may come in the exam. So it has come in earlier board exams also. So let's take here. Let a minus x equal to t. Okay. Now minus dx equal to dt or dx equal to minus of dt. So here you see when so when you change variable of integration, limits of integration will also be changed. X equal to 0 means x0, so t equal to a, and x equal to a implies t equal to a minus a. Okay, t equal to 0. Now we are starting from RHS. Now 0 to a, f of a minus f dx. This is equal to when x equal to 0, you are having t equal to a, right? When x equal to a, t 0. Now f a minus x means you are taking here a minus x, we have taken t, and dx equal to minus of dt. Now next step, we can write here 0 to a f t dt. Right? It's because when the limits are interchanged, sign of the integral is changed. So we have interchanged a0 to 0a. The sign of the integral is changed. Now this can also be written as 0 to a fx dx. It is because definite integral is independent of variable of integration. So this property will be used in almost 90% cases of your question. So for example, so let me show you by taking one example. So as I said, this is one of the very important and most frequently used property. Yeah, so let me take this one. I'll take some questions from the book only. Okay, so let me show you some by taking some questions. Suppose simple question, maybe I can take 0 to pi by 2, right? If I write here sine square x dx. Now, yeah, so this let it be I. I stands for integral, right? Now this I can be written as, by using this property, 0 to a fx dx can be written as 0 to a means 0 to pi by 2 sine square a minus x means pi by 2 minus x dx. This is equal to 0 to pi by 2 cos square x dx. So I equal to 0 to pi by 2 sine square x dx. Now the integral has become 0 to pi by 2 cos square x dx. So if I add the 2, so what I will be getting here? Now 2i, adding the 2, I can get here 0 to pi by 2 sine square x dx plus cos square x dx. It means sine square x plus cos square x, right? So it means you are getting, it is 1 into dx. So 0 to pi by 2, 1 into dx, that is dx x, integral x 0 to pi by 2. So we are getting pi by 2 minus 0, which is pi by 2. Okay, so this is what 2i. we want I. So I equal to pi by 4. Okay, this is the answer. So now you see, you can even without, this definition, without this property, you could have used this one, but with this it becomes a bit easier. I'll take one more question. Yeah, next question is, so see how simple it will be. Yeah, so maybe I can take here 0 to pi by 2 cos x plus sin x. Okay, let it be I. I'll also tell you the trick where to use it. Now I equal to, if I write here 0 to pi by 2, now cos a minus x means pi by 2 minus x. It will be sin x dx, right? Now cos pi by 2 minus x sin x plus sin pi by 2 minus x cos x. That means you are getting same denominator, right? Only numerator different. So adding the 2I will be what? 0 to pi by 2. Now you see denominator and numerator are equal. Whenever you add the 2, you are getting sin x plus cos x. Here also you are getting cos x plus sin x, right? So it means you are getting 0 to pi by 2, 1 into dx. So this is equal to pi by 2 minus 0, right? X 0 to pi by 2. Answer here pi by 2, that is 2I. So I equal to pi by 4. So in previous test also we have got pi by 4, right? So I'll tell you why, specifically where should we use this 0 to pi by 2, 0 to pi by 3 like this. Because the one case is very, very clear. Whenever we want to get denominator, numerator and denominator same. Okay. So this is one of the important formulas. You can say almost, as I said earlier, 90% cases now, 90% questions we will be using this property. Okay. And in your NCERT book specifically, you will be using lots of questions by using this formula. So, but here you have to see lower limit should be 0, upper limit should be A. And specifically the use of this property actually simplifies the definite integral. Okay, so for the time being, so maybe these are, this is the information regarding this property. So once we study all the properties, then we will have that comparative study. So which property will be used where and tricks, etc. So now property number 5 is A to B fx dx. So like this, yeah. So here this is, in fact, this is also one of the important properties of definite integral. And some writer says, no, it is the king's property. Okay, but though in NCERT book you do not have many questions, but this is called what? King's property. King's property. So let's see why it is called King's property and how should we do it. So let's prove this. Proof of this is, yeah, so let's take this, go to the question. So let us take I equal to, let I equal to A to B fx dx. Okay, let's take A plus B minus x equal to t, this quantity specifically. So minus dx is dt or dx equal to minus dt. Okay, now what is x? X will be what? Your x will be a plus b minus t. Now let's change the limits. Okay, so x equal to a implies t equal to what? When x equal to a, t equal to, yeah, x, put x equal to a here, x equal to a, so t equal to b. Similarly, x equal to b implies t equal to, if you write x b, b minus b cancelled, t equal to a. So now I equal to this, so here you write I equal to, now a, x equal to a means t equal to b, x equal to b, t equal to a. Now it is f of x, x equal to a plus b minus t, okay, and dx is minus dt. So it means you are getting a to b f of a plus b minus t dt. So by interchanging the limits, we are changing sign of the integral. Okay. Now this can also be written as a to b f of a plus b minus x dx, because definite integral is independent of variable of integration. Let me take one or two questions from this property. Yes, first question is from this property. I'm writing property, question number 1, pi by 6 to pi by 3. Suppose it is under root tan x divided by root tan x plus root cot x. So this is a question. Okay. So we can write here a plus b, as we know. A plus b here, pi by 6 plus pi by 3. A equal to pi by 6, b equal to pi by 3, a plus b equal to pi by 2. Okay, so that means we can apply this property like, yeah, so this is equal to, let it be I, let I equal to this. So now I equal to, so you can write here a to b means pi by 6 to pi by 3. Now f of a plus b minus x. So f of a plus b minus x means only x will be replaced, right? So we can write here tan a plus b, that is tan pi by 2 minus x, divided by, here you can get tan pi by 2 minus x plus cot pi by 2 minus x. So did you understand why it is happening? Like you see, we are already getting here a plus b minus a plus b equal to pi by 2. So by taking like this, what we are getting, what is the benefit? Pi by 6 to pi by 3. Here you are getting under root cot x. Denominator is root cot x plus root tan x. So here if you observe, suppose I take the given integral as 1. Now this is after applying the property, suppose this one is 2. So if you observe 1 and 2, denominators are equal, right? Root tan x plus root cot x, here root cot x plus root tan x. And if you add them, no, you will be getting numerator equal to denominator. So adding 1 and 2, adding 1 and 2, you can get 2i. 2i equal to 0, sorry, it is pi by 6 to pi by 3. Now numerator equal to denominator, it will be cancelled out. You can get dx here. So x pi by 6 to pi by 3 means you are getting pi by 3 minus pi by 6, which is pi by 6. Okay, this is 2I. It means your I equal to pi by 12. Okay, so this is your final answer. So now with this property, it is so easy. Otherwise, no, without property, you could have thought many things how to substitute. Specifically, you could have thought of substitution method only. You can't think about integration by parts or partial fraction in this case. So with the property, it actually makes the things very, very easier. Okay. So now, yeah, so with the property explanation, I'm just taking one or two questions. Then specifically, after the completion of the properties, so maybe we can take the questions type wise. Okay, page number 4. Yeah. So now let's see, 2 or 3 properties left. We have taken property number 5. We have done. Okay. So property number 6. Quickly, I'll just come. Yeah. So you know what is an even function. You know what is an even function, and you know what is an odd function. So even function basically fx is called an even function if f minus x equal to fx. That means by changing the sign of the variable, no change in the limits of the, no change in the value of the function. Similarly, odd function f of minus x equal to minus of fx. Suppose for example fx equal to x cube. Okay, so fx equal to x cube, fx equal to sin x, these are odd functions. Okay, and fx equal to cos x, fx equal to an even power of cos x, so these are even functions. Okay, so quickly I will tell the property number 6. Property number 6, it has unique identification in fact, so you will not make any mistake. So integral of fx dx limits from minus a to a. So this is equal to 0 if f is an odd function, and so this is twice of 0 to a. Fx dx if f is an even function. So here the identification is how to recognize this property you have to use. This is the only property you can see minus a to a. So like this. So for example, if you write here minus pi by 2 to pi by 2 sine cube x. So without even evaluating, you can say this is 0. You can cross check of course, but if the question comes like this, so because you know the properties, sine cube x is an odd function, how to check it? You can check like this, fx is sine cube x. Now by taking f minus x, it is sine cube minus x. Sine minus theta is minus sine theta. So minus sine x whole cube, that is minus of sine cube x, right? So it means fx equal to sine cube x, f minus x is minus of fx. So it is odd function. So once you show this is odd function, you can write it is 0 by using this property. So specifically in 1 marker questions, yeah, so it is very, very helpful. Okay, so if you want to go for proof, we can do it. So yeah, so maybe one portion I can just show the proof of this function. Yeah, so whenever you have minus a to a, so what you can do here, minus a to 0, 0 to a. Okay, so you can split this. So after this we can do it. Just one moment. Yeah. Okay, this is property number, so last property, property number 7. Property number 7 is somehow a bit similar, 0 to 2a fx dx. This is equal to 0 if f of 2a minus x equal to minus fx, and twice of 0 to a fx dx if f2a minus x equal to fx. Okay, so this is the last property. Okay, so where can we use it? For example, you take, for example, so this is, you can take 0 to pi by, yeah, so let me take this question. Okay, so I'll take a simple question and wind up the class today. Yeah, so I can write here, suppose for example, yeah, okay, so maybe the questions we can take in the next class. So already we have been studying, I mean, for quite some time. So basically, just let me take, before I conclude the class, so let me just uh, tell you some tricks. Okay. Yeah. So the trick goes like this: whenever you have, yeah. So whenever you have that even and odd function specifically, so for even, that is minus a to a. So that is one thing, one property, very unique type of limits you can say. So that is one of the identification marks how to use this. Similarly, whenever you have 0 to a, 0 to a you may come across in many cases. And whenever you have to have that piecewise definition function, like mod x bracket x type of things, no? So you have to write, you have to take their a to c, c to d. So every property has its unique character. Then looking at this unique character, it's easier for you to identify which property to be used where. Okay, and sometimes no, children do say where to use this property. Okay, how to know this property will be used. So maybe this last question I can take. Suppose for example 0 to pi x tan x divided by sec x plus cos x. This is one question. Okay. So I can write here, this is your I, for example, yeah, let it be I. So now I equal to, we can write here, yes, this can be taken as 0 to pi, 0 to pi, we can write x sin x by cos x divided by 1 by cos x plus cos x. I'm changing it to sin x by cos x type of things. 0 to pi, it is x sin x divided by 1 plus cos square x dx. Okay, now the question is simplified. So I equal to this. Now if I write here, okay, let me just change it a bit. So I equal, this is I. Okay, now I equal to, if I write, I want to make it free. So 0 to a fx dx. So 0 to pi. Now pi minus x sin pi minus x divided by 1 plus cos square pi minus x. You know which property we are using? 0 to a f of a f dx equal to f of a minus x dx. Okay, so 0 to pi as we can do it, pi minus x sin pi minus theta sin theta. So it is sin x 1 plus cos pi minus x is minus cos x, right? But square of that. So it will remain cos square x. So here you see 1 plus cos square in the denominator, here also 1 plus cos square in the denominator. Adding the two, we can have 2i equal to 0 to pi. Now if you add this and this, so in the denominator you have 1 plus cos square x. Now pi minus x sin x, x sin x. If we add them, no, you will be getting pi sin x. Okay, just towards end of the thing, 2i equal to this. Now what we can take, so this is equal to, so we can check it, 2af, this is your fx. So if I write here 2i equal to pi 0 to pi sin x dx divided by 1 plus cos square x dx, cos square x. So I can put cos x equal to t, then we can get it easily also, right? Okay, so we can take like this also, but we can also use f of 2a minus x equal to fx. Okay, if this, so it will be what? This is equal to pi is already there, twice of 0 to pi by 2. Okay, sin x dx divided by 1 plus cos square x. See, it should, did you understand? I mean, why are we doing this? If this, then we have 0 to 2a fx dx equal to twice of 0 to a fx dx. So you see here what we have done here. Here we had 0 to pi. We have made it 0 to pi by 2, twice of this. So this is your 2i. These two can be cancelled. So your I equal to pi into 0 to pi by 2. So we can write here putting cos x equal to t. Put cos x equal to t. Now sin x dx is minus dt. Now x equal to 0, t equal to 1. X equal to pi by 2, this will be 0. Now you can get minus dt, okay, divided by 1 plus t square. So you are getting here pi 0 to 1 dt by 1 plus t square. So this is your tan inverse t, right? Limit from 0 to 1 and pi is already there. That means you have pi into tan inverse 1 minus tan inverse 0. Tan inverse 1 is pi by 4. So your answer is pi square by 4. Okay. So these are some of the questions, and these are some of the properties we have studied today. So in next class we will be coming with specific types of questions on definite integrals. Okay, and some tricks how to identify which property to be used where. Okay, so thank you so much, and hope you understood it properly.